lot of cards that maybe you at home aren't as familiar with in this toolbox style deck. But here we go. We are ready to kick off top 8 of the biggest, largest regional championships of all time. Prize cards going out. Very key to note, any Regi Pokemon, other important resources in the prizes. There is a single Regigigas. It's not bad as well because Hisuian Heavy Ball is now an out to find you Regigigas once you understand that. Prize cards also not looking good for, or rather not looking too bad for Alex as we're getting ready to get into this game.
Yeah, pretty balanced across the board. Cross-switch to Trekking Shoes. One of those Melanies could be annoying. Luminion, which would help you find the Melanies, definitely in there as well. So certainly options. Nothing punishing for the Regigigas there, though, being able to just keep things going. The trainers are ready and flipping over their active Pokemon. So let's see how they got started, see if they got those preferred starters. It is going to be Christian going first with a Regidrago in the active. So getting the Hisuian Heavy Ball that you mentioned absolutely immediately. Going to take a quick peek at that Regigigas, take that. Of course, pop the Hisuian Heavy Ball back in there, and that means he knows that all those Regis are in the deck. He is going to be able to access them with a number of those options that he needs. You know, the deck is built around that, and it's honestly going to be a little bit more of a stretch for Alex to shut that down immediately with this Vikavolt, not starting with one in the active. Of course, light count of them, not going super crazy. It's not like a 4-of count or anything, but there's definitely Regis in hand. There's I see a number of options in there. Trekking Shoes from Christian, being able to take a look at the next card. Oh, it's a Regi right off the Trekking Shoes as well. This bench is going to be looking very plump at the end of this turn.
Wow, I think the whole gang is here right now. I think there are 4 Regi Pokemon after this quick ball to get this in the hand. Just one missing at this point.
Yeah, I think he's just missing the Reg Ice, but I've only been able to have a quick look. It is a hand full of Regieleki.
Oh, he has all of them. He has another quick ball.
So yeah, he can
Turn 1.
He can get that out. The Reg Ice is already on the front of the deck as well. Makes sense. And here's the other crazy thing, is if he empties the hand, he's going to be able to draw up a little bit more with this Regidrago. So he's going to be able to keep going.
And playing items on this turn is so crucial because Alex is looking to item block as soon as this turn, utilizing Melanie and an attachment to this Vikavolt. So not being able to play quick ball the turn after this, Christian is utilizing this first turn to get all these Pokemon in play. Alex doesn't have a huge damage aggression, wants to be item blocking this deck to stop it, and he plays them all down, lays out his cards. Hey, what can you do against this?
That's so cheeky, being able to lay them all out, throw them all down. Honestly, respect for the matching art as well. Going Rev Hollow on all of them has to be respectable. He's going to play his Ordinary Rod, just maximizing those items. The big thing now, though, he's done step 1. He's got all the Regis out. Step 2, you've got to get that energy in the right spot. That's the big thing. He's only got the 1 Aurora energy in right now, so he does need to keep on going. He will need the items for the potential discard. The quick ball, he discarded an Aurora energy with that. That's good value. But he's going to need more options to try and discard all of these so we can pull them out with the Regigigas. Doesn't look like there's too many further options, but that is a beautiful turn 1. Stormy Mountain and a Marnie in there as well, along with that Regi, I believe the extra Regieleki. So really set up nicely. Not the stadium he would have wanted. Maybe a Pokestop would have been a little bit more preferred there. But certainly if he needs to replenish and get something like this Regidrago back, that would be a great way to do it. That said, we're over to Alex's turn, and speaking of great turn 1 cards, it's going to be a Battle VIP pass. Being able to go and grab a couple basic Pokemon, slam them on the bench, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the card that you want to find on your first turn. It's there strictly for the fact that you want to get set up. Your first turn is to pop off, utilize Melanie, start attacking with these lightning Pokemon. And the Zapdos is a card we don't see a lot in this deck, but it's in the starting position, and it's in the deck for a few matchups, but specifically, it's very, very good against some of these lower HP Pokemon because it adds 10 damage to your basic lightning. It's here for Lost Box mainly to be able to one-hit knock out the Cramorants, but against some of the lower HP Pokemon like the Regieleki that has 120 HP, it can also now set up a 2-hit knockout on that. That being said, a lot of pieces are going to have to be found, but that is a huge time grab. However, I don't know if Alex actually already has the Melanie in hand, has the escape rope as well. It's a big find. The fact that Christian wasn't able to get an attachment down for turn, not get any other energy in the discard pile besides the Aurora energy means that Christian has to pretty much commit to an attacker. The Regirock is the best attacker in this matchup because it hits everything for weakness. The problem is you want that Pokemon to be as healthy as possible when you first take that knockout. And at this point, this is what's happening. Finds the Melanie as well, which means this Vikavolt can attack turn 1 and shut off items on Christian's side.
It worked out perfectly for Alex there, being able to discard that water energy with the Radiant Greninja for the concealed cards. See more cards as well. and be able to get that Vikavolt going. So the perfect execution of one of the cornerstones of this deck. Those extra cards he drew aren't going to be sticking around. He did, of course, attack with the Paralyzing Bolt. No item cards allowed, and a little bit of damage down on that Regirock. So there's going to be a really tough deal here, I think, for Christian. We see him drawing, and you just see how many item cards this deck plays. You know, he's got an energy in hand. That could get attached, but how is he going to get, you know, all of the pieces out?
That's the question, right? Trekking Shoes, Quick Ball, all very solid cards, but the problem is, what do you do in this position? Here's the way that Christian can continue to pivot around, and this is Christian's plan in this matchup, is to just pivot around Regi Pokemon as much as possible using Ancient Wisdom to try to play around these knockouts, because again, essentially in this, you can look at it like a Pokemon getting knocked out in this matchup is like it getting sent to the Lost Zone, because Ordinary Rod can't be played to bring it back, so that's a good way to really visualize and look at it. This hand, though, however, is looking really solid for Alex, has Melanie and Water Energy to pitch away with this Ultra Ball. Can start to set up some other Pokemon or set the hand up. Again, Christian doesn't really have the ability to do much under item lock. And this is sort of where things can get a little bit difficult.
Yeah, this is going to be a sticky situation for Christian because there is no other way outside of that Ordinary Rod to get those Pokemon back. You're absolutely trapped. Once they go in there, it could be game over. I mean, maybe throwing up the Regieleki, which we know he has access to replenish easily, is going to be big, but he needs to get more energy, particularly Aurora energy, I feel, in that discard. He's only got the Aurora and the Twin in there right now, so some of these stickier requirements, looking at the Regirock, for example, you need 2 fighting energy. You need another Aurora to be able to do that, so he's just going to have to try and draw into it somehow, maybe find a supporter, maybe just take one off the top, and then be able to fire back into this Vikavolt. That being said, it's very smart of Alex to set up for the rest of the game and keep things going. He's got the training court down, pulls back a fighting energy for himself there as well. He's got another Vikavolt ready to play down if that's something he wants to set up again. And of course, he has the option, as we've talked about a couple times now, with that Ditto V to be able to turn that into a Vikavolt if he wants to keep the lock going. But unsurprisingly, you know, a little bit more setup and another Paralyzing Bolt. The whole hand is there for Christian, and he dumps a lot of them with the Serena.
You're looking for those energy cards. Alex attaching fighting energy to Greninja looks a little bit strange on the surface, but it actually is calculated because a Moonlight Shuriken later on in the game, as these Regi Pokemon are running back and forth to the bench, can take some knockouts to close things out. But this is a big Pokestop. Do we see Aurora Energies? Does find the Aurora Energy, but the problem is the Regigigas right now in the active. Are there enough energies here? There are. So the Regigigas can start to attack this turn. Speed Lightning can be attached to this active, and the Ancient Wisdom can bring the Twin Energy and both Auroras back. And this is nightmare situation for Alex Krekeler because at this point, you don't want your opponent to start attacking. They're going to win these prize trades into these 2-prize Pokemon, especially when you're not dealing enough damage to take knockouts.
Christian getting down 150 damage from that Regigigas. That's huge damage to be able to get down. And that Pokestop really bailing him out there, I think, being able to kind of keep moving through the deck. I mean, the Serena that he got as well, he played it so well. He knew that there was cards in hand that would essentially useless. They weren't going to get played if he didn't get rid of this Vikavolt and drop the lock. So why not just say, you know what, actually, I don't care anymore. You're not going to be able to keep going through this game, and then I'm going to start causing problems for you. So really nicely done there to find an out, and as you say, pushing the prize trade early. These little 60s are taking so long to add up. I mean, in some cases, they're 3 hits. In some cases, they're 2 hits.
Wow.
The Pokestop being used by Alex there has definitely got him a couple helpful cards in this one.
That is huge. That is a big-time find. Finds the Forest Seal Stone, and this can essentially grab Alex any card he would like. Here's how the math is going to line up. The Galarian Zigzagoon we saw get grabbed there off the Quick Ball, so if another Paralyzing Bolt is utilized, it will put the Regigigas at 30 remaining HP, so another Scoop Up Net will be able to get there.
Well,
let's see the choice of cards for Alex. Did find a Cross Switcher as well, but there it is, the Scoop Up Net. So the math is going to line up this way. Can grab the Scoop Up Net, and from there, Headbutt Tantrum ×3 in combination with Paralyzing Bolt. Essentially what Alex is doing at this point is saying, the most common way for you to find Regigigas is just to Quick Ball and keep finding them, but you can't play those under item lock.
Well, you look at this as well. One of the Regigigas sitting pretty on top of the discard. So if he goes after this Regigigas now with the Paralyzing Bolt, takes away that Ordinary Rod, that means there's no way to get those Regigigas back. Without the Regigigas, you don't have the ability that you need to get the energy back in play. That is really, really big. And like you say, just being able to run through with the Galarian Zigzagoon doing way more than its standard 10 is big here.
So this is maybe a gamble from Alex. Regigigas lists right now are playing anywhere from 2 to 3 Regigigas. So if Christian is only playing 2, there's nothing that can be done, right? There's no way to bring it back. However, A lot of this is going to come down to what can be found. You don't want to see those supporter cards at the discard pile. Those are the ways you're drawing cards and trying to find your Regi Pokemon.
The fact he's still playing implies to me it's got to be 3.
Yeah.
If you had 2 and you were being item locked, you know there's no other way out. It's got to be the 3 in here. What's curious on that, what did he cut to be able to make room for that third Regigigas? But this is kind of the giveaway. Alex thinks, okay, I kind of had you, but now he's just making life so difficult for Christian. I mean, these Pokestops are just either discarding energy, discarding valuable supporters, or getting him item cards he can't play. That doesn't feel so great sometimes. So a lot of thought going into this one. Christian maybe hoping that he can find a way, maybe just pull that Regi and just go from there. So it looks like we're going to keep it going. Alex seems to have the board set up quite nicely. No immediate swing back available from Christian. I mean, yes, this Regidrago would be able to, if he can empty out the hand, get some more cards back, but I'm just not seeing it right now. There's, a pretty nice Pokestop for Alex.
Yeah, so at this point here, Christian is not lost this game, even if Regigigas doesn't come into play right away. It's definitely still bad, but these Pokemon can still be manually powered up. But every time you use Pokestop and you keep discarding these energies, those are great, obviously, because you want to bring them back to the discard pile. But when you're not doing that every turn, you're shutting off that option to be able to possibly attach for a turn as well. And here we go. Capture Energy will be able to grab the last Regigigas. So if anything at this point, Alex Krekeler has very, very good deck knowledge because now he can rule out the fact that his opponent is only playing 2. They've played now twice. He now has a very good understanding of Christian's list and says, okay, if my game plan was just to knock out 2 Regis and shut the energies off, it's not going to be Regigigas I'm going after. Most likely, if that's the strategy, going after Regirock, Registeel, or Regice is a lot more valuable of a strategy because those Pokemon have never been played in 3 counts. We've seen Regieleki be played in counts of 3, Regidrago in counts of 3, and Regigigas, but never those 3 Regis.
No, there's certainly some that only ever get 2 at one time. Of course, we are going to be powering up the Regidrago right now to get that knockout. So the prize trade heading into Christian's favor here, and of course, you know, meaning that if Alex wants to keep up that lock that he was going with the Vikavolt before, he's going to have to stretch for it a little bit. So we're Trekking Shoes to start out the turn. He's going to discard, I can't quite see what that is, I believe it's a Quick Ball going away there, so doesn't want that. Wants to see another card, but yeah, the Vikavolt V is coming to the front of his hand. I think that's something he's definitely going to be considering in this one. There's a number of cards that are kind of dead in this matchup a little bit, and getting rid of those with the Ultra Ball is definitely helpful. The Drapion, the Lost Vacuum, being sent away with the Ultra Ball, and he can go in the deck and find something else that he may need. He's going for another Mew right now, so that's not too bad. There is, of course, you know, plenty of options for bouncing cards around in this deck. I know he has access to Scoop Up Nets. I believe he used 2, and I believe there's another one, Prize, so that would be a count that he needs to, you know, be very conscious of, very considerate of. But then you've got options as well, like the cross switches, to be able to move things around and start targeting. Speed Lightning, draw 2. There's an energy on there. There's an energy search, which is going to take the basic water. That deck is so thin for Alex.
It's so thin, he needs to be very, very careful of that happening. But at this point, the card Alex is looking for is Melanie. Melanie is needed to power this up, and if you give Christian a turn to put items back, he can play all those ordinary rods to put the Regi Pokemon back in, and things can start to snowball out of control. So do we see the Melanie? 2 cards off concealed cards, and that is, that's a big miss. This opens the huge door up for Alex at this point. Potentially could have retreated into the Mew to thin one more card out. We will see the Pokestop at least get played. Does find the Scoop Up Net and the Air Balloon, but it's not. There's no way to find Melanie at this point. Mew is not going to be able to find it. Mew can only find item cards.
Yep, well, Mew's at least going to get him a look and maybe take another card out of the deck. But I think, honestly, you know, even if you get it, I mean, I don't know how you get it this turn. He's got 1 Melanie in the deck.
Well, Trekking Shoes can dig,
It's a dig, but it's not that much of a dig. Could also play down the Radiant Greninja, and of course, go conceal cards. It's going to be a huge dig, but then he's got to get the cards back in the deck. If it was a Melanie, he would have taken it. He's going to take it, though. I think mulling it over.
It's not Melanie, but he's just
definitely
considering, like, what is a good card?
My goodness, it's a basic energy.
Still doesn't find it.
Yeah, he's got so much to go through on this one. Be able to, you know, just get everything done. Air Balloon on the Crobat. He's got so many cards in hand. How is one of them not a Melanie?
Well, one's prize, and he's already played 2 at this point. 2 at the discard pile, so this is such an unfortunate spot. You're about to open up the floodgates for this Regi player to have essentially a birthday party with everything that's able, right? Have a whole celebration.
Just going to take prizes every single time. And the big thing as well is you've gone through your whole deck. You need to get those cards back in. Of course, you've got the Marnie in there as well. But the problem is with the Vikavolt, it's slow and steady wins the race. And if Christian just bounces around his Regis, causes problems that way, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to take all the prizes if you draw through your deck. And of course, with the the Ancient Wisdom setup, guess what? He's able to just put energy on, retreat, move it around. He could buy, what, 10, 12 turns potentially, just bouncing these Regis around.
Yeah, luckily there's some more time in top 8, but even at this point, I would consider the game is not lost for Alex by any point, but there's so little resources left in deck, and this Regirock can just get powered up this turn even. The thing that is unfortunate about Regirock is it's not able to attack consecutive turns in a row, but if these last couple of Aurora energies can get discarded, then that's all that's needed. Can even heal some of the damage off of these Pokemon, utilizing the scoop up nets that can now be played, has access to what looks like maybe a supporter card here as well. So many options for Christian, and as I said earlier, can play these Ordinary Rods to take these Pokemon back into the deck, now knocking out Regigigas while item blocking isn't a play anymore.
Yeah, well, obviously, being able to, lose the lock is huge for Christian. And the big thing as well, going back to the beginning of the game, he got all the Regis out, turn 1. That's absolutely insane. He didn't need any real, pull after that. The one time he needed a Regi, he had the Regigigas in the deck, and he had a capture energy to do it with as well. So being able to play through that just seems so smart. I think this matchup has got so many nuances to it. Of course, it's Christian just keeping going. He's setting himself up a little bit for later. He's going to bounce all those energy into the discard by scoop up netting the Regidrago, throw the Regigigas back in the active. That can take more hits from something like this Vikavolt. Regidrago goes back down, and imagine Ancient Wisdom soon to follow.
So there's multiple options at this point. Again, remember, Ancient Wisdom, unlike Dragon's Horde, is not capped at 1 per turn, so can potentially utilize Ancient Wisdom, scoop up net this Regigigas, and then do it again. I think that's what Christian's eyeing up. Understands that this is the turn to just flood the board with energies, put as many energy cards into play as possible, and just try to say, hey, even if you somehow remove the ability for me to use Ancient Wisdom or lock me out of the game with items, then I'm going to have enough here to do this.
Yeah, well, there is going to be an air balloon on the Regieleki. I think he's just mulling over all of the options in this turn. Yep, there's the Ancient Wisdom. It's going to be Aurora Energy, Speed Lightning, Aurora, and they're all going on the Regidrago, so that implies there's a little bit more to come if he wants to attack on this turn. Yep, there's the scoop-up net that you were talking about, Ethan, rightfully called. It's going to be a drop of the Regieleki. Down goes Regigigas, and he's going to be able to play a Professor's Research here. So he's still got plenty of cards to look at, see what's going on. He's found a couple more Regis in there, a Capture Energy as well. Maybe save that one for later to replenish the board if needed. The Pokestop being replaced with his own path to the peak as well. So really limiting the options here for Alex. Choice Belt goes down on Regigigas. Not really going to help him out right now when he's facing down the Mew, but why not, right?
Exactly, why not? And look at that. Double twin energy being put onto this Regigigas means that a single attachment from deck will be enough to fulfill the attack requirement. This Regieleki can move for free thanks to the air balloon. And there's that attachment again. And look at this. 2 Pokemon fully powered up. The Regieleki can also get powered up with 2 manual attachments as well. Christian has done everything he wants to in this matchup, has learned a lot from playing Alex earlier in Swiss. That early experience against such a weird archetype may have paid off for him.
Yeah, it's definitely helping out. Maybe that round did it. Of course,
next card was Melanie. It was the top deck.
I mean, it was what, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 chance? It was definitely much better odds than most of those turns he's been playing before, but it may just be too little too late. Ditto V hitting the bench here. Maybe try and get rid of that one or save it for a little bit later. The thing is, the path to the peak's in play, so that already has to get bounced, which isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world, especially when, you're already down a couple of those. I think he's down all his cards for the path to the peak to get bounced.
Yeah, I think Alex's only play is to just try and buy some time. And I think the only out at this position is to make it so that, I mean, what do you even, you can't shut off, the Ancient Wisdom because at this point there's enough energy on the board to take care of these threats. Christian's only had 3 prize cards left, so knock out this Vikavolt and then play something to take the last prize card,
well,
right?
I think maybe there's a bit of a gamble here. As you pull the Registeel up and you start attacking into the Registeel, of course, you're going to be doing 60 damage. It's not enough to threaten an immediate knockout, but you do have to find a world where, maybe you can knock the Registeel out and just avoid getting swung back into. The problem is Christian has played this so well. He's been able to, of course, completely shut the game down by powering up a Regidrago and a Regigigas, which are just going to be able to throw down huge damage while they tank up hits. They haven't got any damage on them. It's not an easy one at all for, Alex to really fight back against when the Regi board sets up this perfectly. It's an Aurora Energy being attached to complete the requirement on that Regi Aleki, Regi Rock being left alone, and he's just passing this one as well. He knows his board is so well set up. At some point, yeah, you might knock out the Regi Steel. That's fine. I'll just promote one of the 3 that is already powered up.
Yeah, and I mean, paralyzing bolt, but again, Alex is fine to pass the turn because either this gets knocked out and he gives up the prize card and he's able to bring up one of these attackers and attack into him, or option 2 is you pass over and then what? Scoop Up Net gets played, right? And then this gets moved out of the active, so there's no other plays. Alex, however, we weren't really paying too much attention. The deck was getting like extremely thin. Marnie's the good way to refresh here, so maybe Christian was just saying, well, I'm just going to pass the next couple of turns, and what are you going to do? You're just going to deck out, right? You're going to lose via deck out, but this is also more information to Christian as well. I know Alex, at the end of Game 3, played towards, or rather Christian plays towards a deck-out condition to win the game. And Alex was able to, I believe, play the game without using Marnie. So if anything, information is being exchanged at this point between both players that they can use going forward into the next 1 or 2 games.
Well, you're almost making the call that he doesn't have access to the Marnie, right? And you're saying, fine, at some point, Registeel is going to get you. Maybe the Marnie's prized. Maybe he just doesn't have access to it at the right time because it's stuck in the prizes. Oh, these trainers, it's just going to be a pass, actually, because he knows as soon as this Registeel goes down,
let's count the scoop up nets here. So one,
gonna be a problem.
2, only 2 scoop up nets though. So, oh wait, is that 2 or okay? Oh, there's 3 in there actually. Okay, so this is Alex's play at this point. Alex's play is to say, hey Christian, do you have scoop up net prize? So this is like essentially the win condition here for Alex. But again, also the problem is, I believe Christian just has more cards in deck left than Alex at this point, right?
Are they just playing a card counting game? I mean, both trainers are passing because Alex knows as soon as that Registeel gets knocked out, one of these Regis that's fully powered up is going to be able to move into the active. That is going to be a huge, huge problem, and he's just going to be able to, of course, swing a couple times into the Vikavolt, while the Vikavolt tickles back with the paralyzing bolt and causes problems.
The Yellow Horn here is going to make things a little bit more difficult for Alex, confusing both active Pokemon.
It's not even attacking.
Oh yeah, I forget, he's not even attacking, right? I feel like usually you're like, oh, no longer item lock, and well, we're this is my favorite part of Pokemon. It's just both players are just draw passing, and nothing's happening.
Oh, he's going for it.
He knocked him out. He flipped heads.
He got the prize, but it doesn't matter because at the end of this turn, it's it's all done. He's out of cards. So a very interesting game there. Definitely a kind of respectable ending, I think, between both these trainers. Just saying, you know what, either I'm going to win through the regular way or I'll let you win through deck out.
It's funny that the 2 wackiest decks in top 8 left us with the wackiest conclusion to a game we've seen all weekend. It would be fitting in this case.
Yeah, definitely appropriate for this one. So Christian, getting off to that phenomenal start. I think the all 5 drop of the Regis is definitely something I haven't seen before, but I respect the style points on that one. But Alex did get his early lock. It was just too little too late, and I think maybe he's hoping for Christian to have one of what I believe is colloquially called a Regi moment, where you start with a Regi and you maybe see 1 on your opening turn, and then you don't see any more, and you continue to struggle, and you don't get to Ancient Wisdom. Considering he locked him out of items, there was still a lot of Ancient Wisdoms in that game.
Yeah. That's again, the matchup comes down to these early turns. If Christian pops off, gets energy in the discard pile, finds every Regi Pokemon before Alex can item lock, then it just becomes difficult. Capture energy is the only way to tutor the deck to find, or rather just like look through the deck to find these basic Pokemon. There is no other way. So this is what Christian is relying off of. A super powerful turn 1, finding these basic Pokemon, and from there saying, listen, you could item block me. I'm going to be annoyed. Like, I'm going to be mad I can't play my cards and do this. And if anybody who's ever played against item block understands that it is frustrating to play that way, but I'm doing what I want to do. I'm attacking with the Pokemon I want, I'm dealing damage to you, and I'm being able to win the prize trade against these 2 prize Pokemon.
Yeah, there's so much that Alex has to do on turn 1. You know, he's still got to hit everything that he needs, and he's got to lock things out. There is going to be a mulligan. We see Christian throwing down the hands, showing there's none of those Regis in there. And the prize is coming down, starting out with Alex. So one of his Vikavolts are in there. Speed Lightning on the water. Luminion, which is something that would have been able to help him potentially find that Melanie early, something he had struggled with in the late game. The Raikou, not really such a big concern. And one of those cross switches again. So definitely pieces in there that would be so nice. Like, let's say he hits the Vikavolt anyway, and he's digging for that Melanie. He's not going to be able to do it with the help of Luminion.
Yep, and this is Alex's deck is functioned to find this combination of cards on turn 1 with the Melanie in combination with the Speed Lightning Energy and the way to pivot out, and that's why this deck plays Mew for the early game search for the deck. So every card off the mulligan is just going to make it a little bit easier for Alex to find these pieces like Battle VIP Pass, as Christian does find a Regi Pokemon. As we see these prize cards looking for maybe like a double Regi Pokemon prize. There are a lot in there, and under item block, that's not what you want to see.
Okay, this is very interesting because you know, we were talking about Pokemon that have maybe a 1 or 2 count in there. If you can't play a Hisuian Heavy Ball, you can't get some of these pieces out, and that's going to be absolutely massive. So he needs to get that going early. It's going to be a quick ball, though, for Christian. He's going to be able to do the all-important count of each. So figure out where everything is in this deck and prize pairing. The Hisuian Heavy Ball is in the deck. I just saw him absolutely breeze by it in there, but he's making sure. I think he's going to be realizing that one of them, and I don't know if you're keeping up with it, Ethan, one of them is missing in the deck, and one of them is in the prizes. Remember in game 1 where I said that 3 Gigas is a lot of Gigas? You got to cut something. You got to make room. And looking at the prizes, looking at his hand, I think it's safe to say that one of the Regis is on a 1 count.
Yeah, and the fact that it's in the prizes is not good. We actually saw this way back when I'm totally blanking on the name, but Drew Tate, or not Drew Tate, sorry.
Drew Kennett.
Drew Kennett, right? Drew Kennett played 1 Registeel and got punished against Piper Lapine when it was prized and couldn't play it. And maybe Christian took some inspiration from Drew and is playing just a single copy of Registeel, and the fact that it's prized, and the fact that he needs to find Hisuian Heavy Ball this turn to be able to stay in this game. If he gets item blocked and is unable to fetch it out of the prizes, the game is, it's not, he can still manually power these Pokemon up, so it's not, he could technically still take prizes. I know, manually powering Pokemon up with Regi is like...
Have you tried manually powering up a Regi?
You wouldn't believe the amount of great hands I've had with this deck.
So he does get the Scoop Up Net going, does of course get the Regidrago in there, can draw up to 4, gets the Trekking Shoes, that's a Yell Horn, so that goes right back into the discard. That is not the Hisuian Heavy Ball that he needs, and he hasn't hit it this turn, so the onus entirely on Alex Krekeler. If he can hit the Vikavolt item lock, this game is so set for him. We are going to take a look there. Vikavolt right to the front with this Battle VIP Pass. Of course, make sure you can find the Melanie. The Radiant Greninja, once again, coming to the fore. Does have a basic energy to keep on drawing, but it's really a case of, can he item lock before the Hisuian Heavy Ball gets played? That's end of story right now. That is the focal point of this game, and he's going to be able to keep on moving.
Well, Alex's deck is functioned to do exactly this turn, to item lock and set up, and if that happens, Christian is going to be in a world of hurt. Battle VIP Pass, the perfect way to start the hand off.
Speed Lightning too.
Does have Speed Lightning, has Melanie as well, so grabbing Greninja is really smart because this means if you draw into the Water Energy off of these 2 cards off Speed Lightning Energy, you have it. If you draw into something like the Energy Search off the Mew, you can then discard the Energy with Greninja that way, and it also draws you more cards to find it. So there's a few pieces that are needed here. Needs to find the Melanie, has it. Needs the Lightning Energy, has it. Needs to discard a Water Energy, and then needs to pivot the Mew out of the active. And here we go, Speed Lightning Energy to start things out. Let's 2 cards. Do we see energy?
Well,
that's an energy, but...
it's not the one.
Okay, so at minimum, it's not horrible, too, because Greninja can still use concealed cards to do this. Also has a few pivoting options in the hand, has the escape rope, also has the Scoop Up Net. It's going to use Mew, really looking for an energy search off this Mysterious Tail. Does find Trekking Shoes, so it's the second best option besides it, because you can at least look at a few cards and potentially discard them as well.
Dig is what he needs to do. Could get rid of the Speed Lightning if he really needs to. Be able to, of course, just keep going. The big thing here is digging, and the Trekking Shoes, although a shallow dig, more of a shovel, more like a trowel than a shovel. I don't know how up to date you are on your gardening terms, but being able to at least see some extra cards is absolutely huge. It's clearly not. He's thinking about it, just taking his time with it.
When players do this, it's like a resource that they don't want to discard at that point. They're like, do I really have to discard this?
It's frustrating. So he's still missing a little bit of the combo, but he is gonna start kind of mapping out the rest of the turn.
So has Crobat. So I think that's what he's sort of eyeing on this position is what can I afford to discard and then keep. So the energy can get discarded here off the Ultra Ball. Could even utilize concealed cards plus Scoop Up Net as well to just draw 2 cards and then reset the Greninja so that if Water Energy is found, it can be discarded off concealed cards. As the Crobat is found off Quick Ball, It's be interesting to see what the rest of the discards are. Opting to
Ooh.
just discard the Speed Lightning Energy instead. Wants to probably just utilize the Scoop Up Net early onto this Mute, then just get it out of the active position and say, hey, all I've got to do is find a Water Energy off these 5 cards, and if I can, as you said, and I agree with you completely. I think this game is just over. Again, as I said, like Christians can still put an attack together, but it's not going to be enough. And the fact that Alex can always target things down with stuff like Cross Switcher, here we go. Big 5 cards. Do we see the Water Energy at all? There's a Trekking Shoes.
Oh, Lord,
There's a big Trekking Shoes here. Does he find the Water Energy? And there it is.
Oh,
he
my
finds it, can discard it, draw
goodness.
another card, and there it is, the Melody.
And another Melody.
Finds Melody too.
Oh, wow. So he's got everything going. That was a monstrous Trekking Shoes from Alex Krekeler. The Vikavolt V is powered up and ready to use its Paralyzing Bolt. The combo has worked, and Christian is going to be looking at his hand. I mean, there is the out. I'm going to explore your idea, where you manually power up a Regi, and then you hit the prizes. The Regi Steel is on the bottom row. So there is that world where maybe, just maybe, he can dig it out and then go crazy with some Ancient Wisdoms. But how much hurt is he going to be in before that? The capture energy goes down onto the Regidrago. The thing is, it's not filling those energy requirements that it needs to be able to do that damage. So really big turn there for Alex. Had a lot of digging to do. Did get the shovel out in the end and find all the way through his deck. So there's the pass from Christian. And I think Alex is going to just work this one at his leisure.
Absolutely. Gift Energy being attached to the active means that Christian will be able to draw 3 cards at the end of this turn, which is at least a solid effect for sure. But Alex did just find Boss's Orders off the Trekking Shoes. So there are a few options potentially. What Alex could do in this position is maybe look to Boss's Orders up the Regirock. It's the only Pokemon that really threatens a one-hit knockout. It also plays around Gift Energy to give Christian more cards to work with right now while there's nothing going on. Lots of options, definitely to look at.
In those cards, he's got to be hitting Aurora Energies soon. Even if this Gift Energy activates, which it is, he's going to draw up. He needs Aurora Energies, and they need to stay where they are. So there's one of them. So we're going for the manual power-up, potentially. Oh, there's the other one.
This is the out. You've got to just power the Pokemon up, hope that your opponent isn't able to set up. The bench is filled too right now for Alex, so Alex can't just slowly start powering up a second Vikavolt, or even the Ditto V as well. So this is Christian's only out. You have plenty of time in top 8, so let's say we were playing a best of 3 in Swiss. This is a position where maybe Christian's like, okay, we're going to go to game 3. I can't win this game. But there's still 43 minutes left on the clock. Christian's going to play to these outs because there's plenty of time, even if this game plays to its fullest and concludes, to play one more game.
Yep, well, there's the Regidrago back in there. That Gift Energy certainly helping him out, but he still needs 2 more turns of attachment to be able to get this Regirock swinging. So there's a lot of work to do. Does have that Mew with the Air Balloon, so could, of course, just bounce things around pretty promptly. Has been holding on to a number of useful cards, and I think holding on to set up that second Vikavolt is really the big thing. Oh, the other Vikavolt's prized.
Yeah, but Ditto V can be prized.
Oh, yeah. He has the Ditto V, yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is here, Alex holding on to the Boss's Orders will work out very nicely if he chooses to target down the Regirock. I see no reason to not eventually go after it because it is the only thing that is threatening you at this point. There's the Forest Sealstone as well to protect, but it looks like Alex might also just be content to just continuously Paralyzing Bolt and not utilize resources like Boss's Orders if they aren't necessary, so to say. Also continuously putting energy on Greninja as well, but actually going after the Regidrago. So I think the idea behind this is your opponent is not able to play item cards. They're not able to set up and turbo through their deck as much as they want to. Let me just get rid of this Regidrago potentially, but I mean, I have to think, the only threat that exists on Christian board is the Regirock. Regidrago is not going to be able to draw a lot of cards because Christian can't thin this hand down. So what is the reason for going after this?
So the Regidrago, he already knocked one out earlier, and it's one of those 2 counts. If he can't play the Ordinary Rod, if he can keep the lockup, obviously Ancient Wisdom is going to get blocked at some point. I am a little bit concerned about the potential Regirock being able to come through here, and the Marnie could certainly help Christian out. Needs to find another energy at some point to be able to attack with this Regirock, but another pass, if the Dragos go down, you're still going to be able to slow them down with a lack of Ancient Wisdom, just because they're stuck. You'd have to work through it a little bit cautiously with the Vikavolt. Of course, that's giving up a lot of prizes, but if you can keep it going, then you're going to be in a great position. So a lot of work still to do for Alex. He's still got a number of these 1 prizes to work through, and he could be giving up 2 prizes very quickly if Christian can, of course, power this up. The path to the peak is in play, though, which means that Ditto loop not going to be an option for him.
So the situation at this point for Christian is just play to this Regirock out. So Alex is taking the more long-term approach than just dealing with the immediate threat of saying, listen, the Regirock, it's not able to attack the turn after it uses Giga Impact, so it's kind of stuck where it's at for that turn, so it can't sort of loop knockouts over and over again. And this is it. Both Regi Pokemon, both Regi Drago are removed out of play. Christian also needs to have the attachment for turn. That is a disgusting hand. There are 5 items he can't play in a Regigigas. So for Christian, you want to maximize your damage while your opponent's taking prizes, but at the same time, you want to be able to deal damage, right? So it's both these things where do you topic energy, and if you ended up doing it, what is it worth promoting? Just has to promote Regigigas and pass the turnover.
Do you think this is where we need to see, oh no, Alex, he had the boss and he got Marnied away, so that kind of throwing everything at the Regirock has gone away. Does have the Forest Seal Stone, which could help him out a little bit there. The path to the peak, though, means if you can find this attachment, could make a big play, because, of course, this Regigigas is going to be going down. There's the Ditto V right back in hand, and, of course, it's just going to be the knockout there. So another prize taken for Alex Krekeler, and it's time to shine, Regirock. You just need 1 more energy.
We saw it. Listen, I wasn't wrong in this case. We saw this Regirock
get
manually powered up, has the Aurora Energy, can discard another Aurora Energy from hand, and follow this up with a Marnie under Path to the Peak lock. Alex's other Vikavolt is in the prize cards. So this means that because Path is in play, because this Vikavolt will go down, that if there's no way to bump Path to the Peak, which I believe we actually saw both outs get discarded, the Training Court and the Lost Vacuum, what can Alex do in this position?
And he's got the Registeel now, so he does have access
to it. Look at that, big grab.
And there's no way that Alex, I think, can lock him back up again. So
but he drew to the Hisuian Heavy Ball. It's a huge grab there for Alex.
Yeah, being able to get the Hisuian Heavy Ball out here is absolutely huge. He must know where that Vikavolt is, and he knows the pieces, so he's just going to take another look with the Mew. As a scoop up net, just what he would like to see. Maybe use this Zigzagoon to help himself out a little bit later. That is a massive pull for him there, saving him the Hisuian Heavy Ball, the key card in this matchup, a card that they both play very, very light counts of, but when you find it at that clutch moment, you're in such a great position. So the Vikavolt V is back in play. The Hisuian Heavy Ball goes back down. There's the Speed Lightning. Still
needs to find Melanie. That's the one card that's missing at this point.
Forest Seal Stone.
However, remember the interaction. You can use Forest Seal Stone under Path to the Peak, and that will find the Melanie, allowing the item lock to continue. And because the Scoop Up Net was found also, this Regirock is sort of stuck in the active. It can't attack this turn because of Giga Impact, and then next turn, Scoop Up Net can pick up the Galarian Zigzagoon to deal the remaining 10 damage thanks to the Thunder symbol on the Zapdos. This is looking very solid here for Alex Krekeler in game number 2.
Absolutely massive, being able to keep him out the game for so long, even with this manual power-up that you were talking about. There's the 10 damage ping, there's the 60, of course the 50 being buffed up by that Zapdos a little bit, means that the Regirock can't attack this turn. It's just not able to play through this one. But, is there going to be a world where all of those Regis can come through? Christian's got to dig, and I can see what he's hovering on. He knows, he's going to have to try and find a way to get this. I don't see the out for an Ancient Wisdom, so this Regirock left stranded in the active, just ready to get knocked out.
This is what having experience in this matchup and understanding what the lists look like does for a player advantage-wise, because at this point, Alex is fairly confident that there are not 3 Regidrago in this deck. Regigigas, or rather, Regirock can't attack. So what do you do with this position? I think you're instinctually want to retreat because the knockout is already lined up on the active. But at this point, if you do that, you're kind of stuck. So this is a good in-between, right? You attach your Twin Energy for a turn. It helps pay the hefty 3 retreat cost on the Regirock so that you can potentially take a one-hit knockout onto a Vikavolt. And you're pretty much going to put another Pokemon up that you don't really care about and say, hey, if you don't have boss's orders, but there it is, double cross switcher, that's a
It
huge
doesn't
grab,
matter.
brings the Regirock up. This can remove all of the energy on play. There's now 4 Aurora energy discard pile. There's no option for Ancient Wisdom as long as item block continues, and that is huge here for Alex Krekeler. And
Yep.
that's it. Christian's gonna scoop, we're going to game 3.
Fair enough to Christian. He did try the fight back. I'm going to give you props for calling it out, Ethan. The manual attachments gave him an opportunity. He did take those prizes and did free up the Registeel for himself. So he was digging, was pushing to be able to play the Regis I guess the old-fashioned way, right? Just being able to attach for turn, keep things going, but a really good execution from Alex, showing what can happen if the item lock comes into play. Christian knew after that first search, I am missing a Registeel, and at the end of turn 2, it became very treacherous. Then it got really dangerous. Christian kind of almost swung it back, breaking the lock entirely, being able to say, you know what, you can't play another Vikavolt down. One was prized. He had the path lock to block the Ditto, which was really, really cool. But Alex just hits a in heavy ball, and at the end of the turn, he's right back where he was with an item lock coming through. Even though that Registeel was freed from the prizes from that 2 that the Vikavolt V game up, it was still a little bit too little, too late. And of course, Regirock not being able to attack back to back in the end was a massive problem. He couldn't even bounce it around with scoop up nets, being able to move that energy potentially and cause those issues.
We've seen the game both way now. We've seen where Alex can just dominate and remove Regi Pokemon from play to pretty much not allow Christian to use Ancient Wisdom. And we've seen how things can look on Christian's side if he finds all those Regi Pokemon.
Yep.
How will this game conclude? These are going to be a big opening turn. The game essentially can be dissected into how do these players take their first turn? What are they finding? How many resources do they have access to? What are they able to accomplish? And you see Alex Krekeler is sort of like shaking his head a little bit there, maybe not having the strongest cards. Look at the prize cards here. Well, Lumineon just shows up every time in the prize cards.
Yeah, Alex has not been able to access Melanie with his Lumineon. That's just not an option for him. He's got 2 Mew trapped in there as well. The Hisuian Heavy Ball kind of in the right place for Christian because he wants to be able to, you know, only use that if there's Regis in the prizes, which there's not.
Wow, use the lightning rod or use the fleet-footed ability on Raikou and drew into the Battle VIP pass. That is a clutch Battle VIP pass draw. If there's any time you want to draw into Battle Pass to save you out of this position, this is turn 1. And I believe Christian actually wanted Alex to go first in this matchup, chose to say, I'm going to go second. Listen, I understand that 9 out of 10 games, if my opponent goes second, they're going to get turn 1 item block. Let me at least allow myself to have 1 turn where I can play items and the supporter card to dig through my deck just a little bit more and try to find these Regi Pokemon and discard these energies.
Yeah, being able to dig and dig a little bit further with the supporter, certainly very, very helpful for Christian. And maybe maximize this 1 turn of items that he's getting. There is going to be a follow-up quick ball, so another selection of Alex's choice. Yep, once again. It's always the first 3 from him, right? It's always the Zapdos, the Vikavolt V, and the Radiant Greninja coming to the fore. You need all of those pieces. The 50 to 60 change is so important in this matchup, and then being able to, of course, draw more cards with concealed cards certainly works out well for Alex. Getting that water in the discard as well for when it's time to Melanie is absolutely huge. So here we go. There's the water getting discarded with concealed cards. I think we're just confirming on that one. Alex just double checking himself there and drawing up the cards. Oh, he needed his deck back. That would probably help.
I like to draw cards when I can. I would love to pull any 2 cards I want out of thin air, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. But does find the energy surge. This actually opens up some more options for Alex. Is not necessarily locked into Melanie as a supporter card for the following turn, like you usually are on turn 1. However, this Raikou, it's pretty fast. So I'd say Raikou's a little nimble Pokemon for sure. It only has 1 retreat, but having in the active is not terrible on turn 1, unless Christian can put something together. Looking at the hand, there's a few energy cards, has access to capture energy. This is going second on the first turn, so Christian can utilize the Regigate attack on that Regi Ice. As capture energy will search the deck. Christian's going to get the fortunate news that the prizes are not nearly as bad. You see the Registeel immediately getting put to the top of the deck, saying like, "Where were you last game? I needed you. You need to come
he found
me
it
this time." Well,
he found it.
Out, right?
It just had to manually power up a Regirock and go that way. So being able to just count those Regis, absolutely huge for Christian. So on those decks where you've got to know all the pieces where they are. Energies in the discard, please. Regis in the deck and available with a search. So very nicely being able to do that. He's just making sure his counts are good. Probably now knows that none of them are in there. You do have to consider looking maybe at the Regidrago somewhere down the line, being able to get that Dragon's Horde going and be able to draw some more cards on what could be a very big turn.
Yeah, so Alex's perspective, you have to imagine. your opponent didn't play Registeel down at all that last game, and
Yep.
you won. Do you maybe consider that your opponent is skimping out on playing those higher counts of Registeel, playing one? Does that adjust your strategy to just going after Registeel instead of going after something like Regidrago in the previous games?
I think so. Honestly, I think that you definitely go for it that way. There was a Marnie played by Christian, and that is a brutal Marnie for Alex. A fantastic Marnie for himself, though. Regirock, Regieleki coming through as well. Stormy Mountains being able to close this one up with the Regidrago. So all he's missing is the man in charge, the Regigigas. This is going to be another one of those turn ones. Perfect Regi hands, potentially. I haven't seen the rest of the hand. Not able to confirm if he's got it. I think if he had it, he'd probably be going to search before the shuffle. So maybe falling one short here. But a lot of work for Alex to do, as Christian has got a phenomenal setup right here.
Yeah, Christian has a choice here whether or not to play the
Like
use Regigate or just display Scoopnet, but understands it's not going to be played the turns after this. Does find a few solid cards, but no Regigigas, as the turn will get passed over to Alex. What does it draw? Does have access to utilize Christian's Stormy Mountains to potentially find a Pokemon. The pros and cons are that by using it, you do shuffle the deck. So if you had cards that you didn't want on the bottom of your deck, there's no reason to just go ahead and utilize Stormy Mountains. But the Melanies are both on the bottom of the deck. And the top deck for turn was Training Court. Did find the Water Energy off of the gifted Marnie over on Christian's side. So Alex has a choice. Can just also has Air Balloon in hand too. So the cards are there to guarantee the item lock as of right now. But Alex doesn't have much else going on. So do you utilize this stadium card to guarantee yourself the attachment with Training Court if you want to get rid of this Water Energy with concealed cards? I have to imagine it's 100% worth to just see some more cards this turn. But I can also understand the more classical approach. However, Fleet-Footed is a good way to just give yourself more options and see what else you have. Does find Hisuian Heavy Ball.
Hey.
Alex has made deck searches, so if he understands Luminions in the prizes, can grab that piece instead. There's a Training Court, though, and at this point, Alex has not had a crazy pop-off setup turn, but this is all you need to do with the deck. Just start hitting with Vikavolt and just Paralyzing Bolt to win.
He did it without the Melanie, too, so being able to get there without that is huge. There's going to be another Marnie in this one, so Christian really knowing that none of these cards are super helpful right now, slam them on the bottom of the deck and see if you can find the Regigigas just through drawing cards. There it is. It's going to be in that 5 cards that he draws, but does he have enough energy in there for this Ancient Wisdom to be useful? I think the answer is a pretty clear no, so we can see every card in there.
So the Aurora Energy can thin out essentially 2 cards in the hand. Itself, and discard an item. There's 1 energy in the discard pile. 2 items. That's all the draw there.
Terrible.
So Ancient Wisdom can still put an energy onto something, but the question is, what do you put it on? You can put it on the active. This allows Aurora Energy to be a potential way to just start attacking next turn. The only fear is that the Zigzagoon play in combination with Paralyzing Bolt can remove the energy cards, and that might be what Alex is looking for.